Hey everyone, it's Tom here from SOCO Sales Training, and I'm excited to have with us today a friend, customer, and the regional head of sales for Spotify, CN Ong. Good to have you here, man. How you doing?
Thank you, Tom, for having me.
Cool. I'm really excited to have you here because I really want to talk about what are the things that Spotify looks for when recruiting sales reps. So maybe we'll start first with, like, what exactly do you look for in candidates?
Okay. So this is a specific industry that we are in within Spotify. So in sales within Spotify, I take care of primarily the advertising portion.
Right.
So which is where brands are going to put their money to advertise on Spotify to the free users.
Right.
So it's specifically in the media industry.
Yes.
It's to do with advertising. So the traits that I look for generally are three things. The first one really is around their passion for sales.
Yeah.
But for a product in a tech industry. So for another company, it's probably going to be different based on the product, but passion is very, very important.
Okay.
Second is actually their ability to understand the landscape. So when I talk about this landscape here, it's the marketing and digital landscape. So understanding the landscape also means you need to know what the advertiser wants.
Right.
And how to operate with their agencies. So that's number two.
Right.
The third and the last one is I would say it's good to have, but it's critical if you are in a very fast-paced industry. People who have existing relationships. So the minute they join us, they already have a list.
Like their own book, right?
Exactly, of who they can call and who they can immediately speak to and take this new product with them.
Okay, cool.
Especially if they are a senior salesperson, they've been doing this for a long time.
So they should have some contacts, right?
Exactly. They're selling other products, not just selling Spotify. It's a matter of going back to the same context and now pitching Spotify.
Right.
Obviously after being trained.
Yeah. And I love what you said, because you were talking about, number one, they've got to have passion, right? So that's critical. A passion for life, a passion for sales.
Yes.
Right? And they've also got to have a passion for the digital space, right? Like this whole industry, right? And it sounds like having experience in that space too kind of helps, and that they can bring kind of a book of contacts that they can maybe call up, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. So that's sort of what you look for in sales reps. I mean, what's the hiring process like here at Spotify? Do they just meet with one person, or is there just kind of like several rounds of interviews? What does that look like?
So there are several rounds of the interview. So we generally will get through, depending on everyone's time, within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Now within that time, they will meet firstly, a set of people, which are their soon-to-be peers if they get hired.
Right, okay.
Their immediate manager, someone from our talent acquisition team, who generally is the first point of contact.
Right.
And then
that maybe does the initial screening, right?
And thirdly, someone from a cross-function. So not in the same sales team, but could be a team that works closely with sales team.
So why is that important?
We are a organization. We are in an organizational time where teamwork is not just important within your team. You need to be able to work cross-functionally because everyone relies on someone else to get things done.
Right.
So getting that thumbs up from a cross-function that this is someone who culturally
I can work with this person.
To get out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So those four generally will be the first round of hiring process.
Okay.
And thereafter, it will be the department head. So in this instance, it's me.
Okay.
Now, we look at different things when they interview.
Right.
So we just talked about the cross-function. So we'll start with there, where they understand whether this person knows how to work with them and even understands what the other roles are within the organization. So bit of teamwork type of questions.
Right.
The peer will be asking questions that are more technical because the person that's hired will be doing the same thing.
Right.
The manager looks at things like, are you someone who's going to be hardworking?
Right. Are you coachable? Are you a learner?
Exactly. And also chemistry is very important because they're going to be reporting to each other day to day. And from a department's head, I will look at those three things that I just told you. Right. I normally only have half an hour of interview with the final two. And thereafter...
And they've already gone through a couple of rounds already, right?
Yes. Culturally wise, the manager would then feedback to me whether they think it's a suitable candidate. And obviously, I will ask some soft questions as well to see whether this person is not just good for the team, but overall within my whole organization.
I love that, Yen. I think this culture fit is probably one of these deal breaker type questions.
Yes.
I mean, you could have all the technical expertise and have this huge book, but you just don't play well with others.
Correct.
Right? In which case, it's like we can't have you on the team, right? Yeah. Okay. Very cool. I love that. That's super cool. So what are some of when we talk about character?
Yes.
Like character is probably one of the most important things you need to look for in a person. What are some telltale signs that they either have a strong, good, positive character or they're a shady character?
That's a tricky one, definitely, right? Because there are people who come and they interview really well, right? If you put them on the stage, they'll win an award.
Right.
So for you to be able to really peel off the different layers, you need to have a series of questions. So as an interviewer, you also, or as a hiring manager, you also have to be on your toes, to hear what they're saying and then question. So you talked about hiring and the questions that you ask. There are some deal breaker questions sometimes.
Right.
So for me, the first thing is, did you come prepared? So if I ask this person, what do you think you will be doing and what product you'll be selling? And if he or she can't even answer me the product or understood the product they're selling, means they did not do their research.
Right.
They did not go online. They did not check out our website.
Correct.
They did not search for anything that's out there regarding this role. Or even ask people who they knew in the organization or people who have left the organization. That bit of research shows you are genuine. And that you want to learn. And it's also a very strong character, a trait of character.
Here's the thing. Everything you said is 100%, and that research that they do to prep for the interview is indicative of what they would do in a sales role.
Exactly.
I mean, my God, I had a telephone interview yesterday with a candidate yesterday. First question I asked her, what do you know about SOCO sales training? Pause. Pause. Sorry, I'm afraid I don't know very much. I said, well, why is that?
Exactly. Why did you even want to interview in the first place?
She said, well, I didn't have much time to kind of prepare. I said, you can't hop online and do a quick search and find out our website in 5 minutes and just do a quick scan, look me up on LinkedIn and find out who I am and what we do. And I said, this is indicative. Like an interview is basically a sales meeting.
Yes, it is. It is.
So it's like, if you didn't prep for this, how do I know that you're going to prep for that sales meeting with the prospect?
It's a very telltale sign that this is the kind of work ethics they're going to have.
Exactly.
Once they join you.
Yeah, it's all little clues, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
There are many, but it's one of the most important for me.
And I love what you said, Yen, about the questions about character, and some people interview really well. Like there's I don't know, it's like they're career interviewers. Like they can win an Academy Award for interviewing skills because they're well rehearsed in their answers, right?
Yes,
and I feel like a lot of it is sort of like the questions that we ask them. Things like, what are your strengths? To me, those are like the most horrible questions ever. Because, I mean, of course, I'm hardworking, I'm diligent, I'm persistent. I mean,
and what are your weaknesses? I try too hard.
Yeah, I work too hard. I don't have work-life balance. It's like, oh, okay, nice, right? So they're totally rehearsed. But I find these kind of like situational questions are a little bit better.
Yes.
Like describe a situation where you had to work hard to close a deal.
Yes.
Like what was that like?
Correct.
Right? Or
Correct.
Things like, who was your favorite boss and why?
Yes.
Who was your least favorite boss and why? There's no wrong answer. We just want to find out what that relationship was like and how they handle conflict, right?
But the other way for me, and that's perfectly so those are some of the questions I would ask, right? Asking them what did you like about your previous company? What do you expect from this company?
Right.
Make them talk about emotion, and not just about the facts.
Right, because you can see it, right?
Yes.
I love that. Okay, that's perfect. That's awesome. I think this is so great. So we've talked about the traits that we look for and how important it is to ask the right questions in the interview. So imagine you've hired the perfect candidate and they're ready to start and it's day one. What does day one look like for a sales rep here at Spotify?
So I will expand a bit more. Day one generally is quite mundane.
Okay.
You get your tags,
That's not what we were looking for, but that's okay. This is real life, huh?
Day one. So because we don't want you to start working. We want you to get into the company. and get all the necessary things in place. Your laptop, get comfortable.
Gotcha.
That is day one.
Laptop, your tags, your passwords, your email setup.
We would usually take them around the office to meet everyone.
Okay.
And just to say hi. Yeah. A nice email is sent out with an introduction, and then if time permits, that's the day that they're going to have lunch with the sales team, at least for my organization. Nice. So that's day one.
Cool.
But what's important for us...
Do you make them pay for lunch? Do they have to treat the team to lunch?
Depends. Whether I like them. No,
okay, depends how the interview went, right?
No. Expense.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. But, from day one, that's actually the first week that's very important. And in fact, within Spotify, we have a policy of making them feel comfortable within the entire first week. So it's all about getting to know people. You're not out in market. You're not bam, day one, out there selling.
So it's kind of like the family first,
right? Correct. And that's also, I believe, one of the strong cultural traits that a company like us bring. Because if you don't know, we're not an American company. We're a Swedish company.
See that? Right? It's not just about meatballs and family cars. It's about music too, right? Very nice. That's cool. So what are some things that you notice in top performers that kind of are different from your average sales rep?
Yeah.
What stands out?
So back to my first answer in regards to the traits that I look for.
If you missed it, move the podcast or the video back a few minutes and then you'll get the recap from Yen. Okay, there you go.
So they need to be constantly self-motivated and passionate. So their love for the role, generally, you can see it in the work, in the way they talk, the way they communicate, and they constantly are charged up.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's very hard to do. Yeah, there will always be ups and downs.
Of course.
But they always learn from their mistakes very quickly, failing fast. Right? These are some of the great traits of a top salesperson.
Can I give you some love right now? Sure. Right? And this isn't just because that they're a customer, but I'm saying this, right? Honestly, something I noticed in your sales team, a positivity. Every time I see them, they seem genuinely happy, they're smiling, they're positive, and there's just this energy like they love what they do. And I think in a sales role, that makes a huge difference. And they're willing, like you say, fail fast.
Yes.
But some companies don't even allow people to fail, right? But I feel like they have permission to take risks, to try things, and to learn from those things, right? Yes. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the reassurance.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, I noticed that, right? Yeah, cool. All right, so we talked about like the traits that you look for. You talked about that passion, that motivation. It's sort of like a combination of like an art and a science, isn't it?
It is. It is. So I was just going to talk about that around, obviously someone's passionate,
right?
But they also need to know how to succeed. They need to have a plan.
Right.
So that plan, as you rightfully mentioned, is a combination of art and science. So if you don't look at data to be able to inform you on decisions, then you are just shooting in the dark.
Right.
You're going out winging it all the time.
Right.
And you can't wing it all the time.
Right.
There are some good times, but most of the time you do need to be well informed before you go out. You need to plan. You need to have a calendar of activities and milestones that you need to achieve. And that can't be done alone as well. It requires teamwork.
For sure.
So looking at data, not just internally, but external data. So sometimes you do need to invest in external data to be able to know what is your addressable market out there.
Okay.
Then at least when you're doing an account planning, you know who to go after.
It's realistic, right?
Correct.
It's
Who's
based
your
on fact.
ideal client profile?
Right.
Because you do not want to be chasing tails and spending a lot of time.
Right.
And that time is money, literally.
For sure, right?
Now, on the other part of it is someone needs to be able to know how to build relationships, be able to communicate well.
Yeah.
The character part is very important here because with a client or be it a direct advertiser or an agency, people can tell whether you're genuine. People can tell whether you're after their money only or do they care about the objective that you want to achieve.
Right. Do I want to help you achieve business results?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a combination of like an art and a science.
Yes, it is.
One thing that I talk about in training programs is it's a combination of, people skills and process.
Yes.
Right? You've got to have the people skills, the interactions, that genuineness, and you've got to also have processes. How do I qualify people? How do I identify my ideal target customer? what's the cadence or the sequence of following up with people? I mean, that's kind of the science part, but you need that art as well, right?
Yes.
Cool. Have you noticed anything unique about reps selling in Asia as opposed to other markets? I mean, what's it like selling in Asia, for example? Because you have you have a regional sales team. So
yes, I do.
What challenges and opportunities does that present?
Yeah. So the important thing is to hire people who appreciate and understand local nuances. So this local nuances is not just about how mature a market is. So in the area of advertising, there's a lot of tech involved.
Right.
So is this market more mature? That's not just about that. It's about culturally, when you're talking to someone, it is a people-based industry where you have to talk to someone in order to close sales. Right? So to do so, you need to understand the things that you should be saying. How do you approach someone? What do they care about locally? So that, I believe, if you say whether there's a huge difference, I don't think that changes a lot.
Okay.
Right? Obviously,
like the fundamentals
doesn't change, right? You have to invest in the people that you're talking to,
right?
Understanding where they come from, right? Because in that way you connect well, and that builds trust.
So I guess it's important. I like what you talked about the fundamentals of sales don't change.
Yes.
And at the same time, certain markets might have more, maturity in terms of, digital advertising versus others. Like Indonesia would have, some differences in their adoption of it.
Yes.
Than, for example, Singapore, for example.
Correct.
So I guess it's kind of having a team that's able to navigate that and understand those nuances, right?
And it's interesting when you compare Indonesia and Singapore. We find that depends on the area of area that we're focusing on. It's not necessary that a developed market is more mature than a non-developed market. Right?
Yeah.
It depends on what the industry it pushes.
Right.
So take Indonesia, for example, it's a very tech-focused industry.
Absolutely. And they've got way more cell phone use than most countries.
Correct. Yeah, and they move way faster sometimes in certain areas of advertising.
It's amazing. So in fact, a lot of those, developing countries have leapfrogged some developed nations in terms of their adoption of technology.
Exactly.
And I think having a team that is aware of that and doesn't have these assumptions about a market and can see it for what it is pretty important.
Yeah. Again, back to art and science, right? If you can communicate well, but did you do your homework?
Right. That's a good point. Okay. So from time to time, we talk about these rock stars and these great salespeople. It's not always smooth sailing, right? No. And it's kind of like you get your lumps and your bumps and your highs and your lows. I mean, how do you deal with the inevitable sales slump?
So it's hard when it comes by, but in our organization, it's not a surprise when it happens. So what's important is we have a system in place within managers and the team that there is constantly a weekly one-on-one for half an hour every week.
Cool.
In that one-on-one, we don't just talk about, hey, how's your numbers?
Right.
But we talk about...
Because you don't need to meet to do that.
Right? That can all be on a shared document. Right? So we talk about people issues, we talk about personal issues, we talk about areas of development.
So kind of like, how's it going for you?
Exactly.
How's your week going?
Yes. Yeah. And from there, the science shows. If it's a bad day, they will talk. But obviously, you have to build a level of trust.
Right.
So again, down to some of our values that we care about, transparency is very important. So when you have that conversation, and when you get into a deeper development talk, it doesn't come as a surprise.
Right.
So obviously, if there are some issues, we identify it.
Right.
And we put processes in place like, do you need to be retrained? Because sometimes they forget when they're doing something at autopilot.
Yes.
Then we send them back to you.
Yeah. Because sometimes people learn something, but then they either forget what they learned or they stop doing what they know.
Yes.
Right?
And that's in the area of mastery, because there is always room for improvement.
For sure, right?
Sometimes it is not about their confidence or lack of.
Right.
Sometimes it's just something that happened at home. Right.
They're just having an off day or an off period.
And being a manager which actually speaks to them and develop that trust, them being able to tell you is already one step towards recovery.
Yeah, huge. Because they've probably been holding it in and just kind of dealing with it. The feeling that I always get here again is that you talk about transparency and trust, that the team feels like they can trust you.
Yes.
Right? And if they can do that, then you know that you can also trust them.
At least that's what I'm trying to build.
Yeah, you're trying. We always try, but at least if you have that intention,
yes,
and the team feels that, then they'll trust you, and then you can trust them to come to you with any issues.
Yes.
Because the last thing any leader wants is like surprises.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't keep me in the
sales,
dark, right?
Bad news needs to travel faster.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to wait till month end to find out what? There's nothing in your pipeline? My gosh. So I think we talked about some of the traits that you look for. I mean, one thing is kind of like, mindset, right? We hear mindset. What kind of mindset or perspective or point of view do you feel like sales reps need to have?
So we have a lot of internal trainings around the softer skills. Like we come to you for sales skills, but the softer skills is managed by a team called Greenhouse internally. And what we do is we go through a lot of different trainings such as stakeholder management, time management, training such as growth mindset. And it's not just growth mindset, it's team growth mindset. So there are even two separate training, one for you as an individual and one on how do you work as a team. So that mindset and how they approach issues and challenges, there needs to be some key tips that's given to them. And these kind of trainings helps them.
I love that.
So whenever we do talk, one thing is because everyone's been to their training,
right?
We speak the same lingo.
Right.
So we can use some of the trainings that we've learned to be able to draw them back and bring them into that level, same page, and say, let's tackle it this way, this way, and this way.
Yeah, I love that. What's so cool about and it comes bames back to kind of the recruitment too. We want to get people on our teams that have a growth mindset, right? So for those of you, we say growth mindset, and it can sometimes come across like a buzzword, right? Growth, but what exactly is it, right? Well, it's about believing that failure is just temporary, right? And you can learn. You talk about fail fast.
Yes.
But and do we learn from those failures? And the belief that you can learn something, the belief that you can improve, as opposed to having a fixed mindset where you go, hey, this is just too hard, Yen. I mean, I'll never learn how to prospect. I'll never learn how to qualify. I could never learn how to manage key accounts.
Correct.
Some people have that mindset.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And once you have learn how to identify, because self-awareness is very important. Mindfulness, self-awareness, being able to know that I'm tackling the problem the same way I've been doing it. It's generally a fixed mindset. So it's all, there's a lot of elements into it, but the most important thing is for them to be self-aware and seek help and start talking to the managers.
I love that. And I think what's great about having a team that has that collective growth mindset is you can go to a colleague and go, I'm feeling a bit stumped right now. What should I do? Or have you been in this situation? How do you get out of it? Because there's going to be a whole free flow sharing of ideas, which is awesome.
And that's where culture plays a very important role. If the team do not feel that it's a safe environment, if the team feels that asking for help equals weakness, then there's something wrong with the culture.
We think it's a strength, right? Like being curious is to be courageous, right?
Yes.
But some cultures are kind of like, hey, you don't know?
Yeah.
Why did I hire you? You don't know.
Yeah. It's like, can I have your deck? Why?
Right. There can be a secrecy, a privacy, but it's sort of like, let's all learn from each other and grow.
It's healthy competition.
Yes.
Everyone needs to be on that playing field.
I love that. Okay, cool. So just a couple more things, which I think is really important. I mean, you talked about a passion, or is it like a spark, or like what is that thing that you're looking for in a rep, like this passion? Tell us more about this passion.
It's hard to pinpoint, but you see in the quality of the work. You see that when they put something in, or they approach an issue, they don't just go, all right, I'll do it this way, and then walk away, right? They look at it, they involve others, they become a team player instantly. Yeah. And whatever they try to achieve is for the greater good, not sometimes just for themselves, but for the team, right? So the passion is not just about that fire and the spark. It's passionate about the business, passionate that our own business outcome is going to be affected based on my decision. So the way they talk, the way they communicate, right? The way they involve others, the way they play nice, right? All this are part and parcel of someone who's passionate about the business.
It sounds like it's part of their character.
It is,
right?
It is.
And I know. So one thing that reminds me what you say is about conscientiousness.
Yes.
Right. They're conscientious, and they have this. You got to do the right thing.
Yes.
We just had a strategic planning meeting the last 2 days, and we were kind of like revisiting our corporate values.
Do we need to conquer 2020? I see.
Dude. The world will get SOCO'd in 2020. Like, get ready, guys. So it's just like,
I'm getting your signature after this.
Yeah, man. So we talk about brand values and what's important to us, and one of our core values is we strive to be our best and do our best.
Yeah.
So it's like, be your best and do your best, right? Like, that's what we're all about. So for me, it's like, I want to hire people that strive to be the best.
Correct.
And to do their very best, right?
And if they're authentic and the way they communicate, they're conscious about the way they communicate, they will be saying things that motivates not just themselves, but others.
Yeah.
That shows real passion.
I love that. They'll fire up everybody. Cool. So how about maybe one last piece of advice for sales leaders, managers out there that are looking to build their sales team? What final thoughts would you want to share with these guys?
Overall, I would say if you have a goal or a mission for your organization, right? Start with that. Start with what you want to achieve, and then why you want to achieve it. Then think about who is going to help you achieve it. So don't go out looking for rock stars if you don't know what you want to achieve with these rock stars.
Right.
So once you have that mission, then you know what would success look like, and who do I need to help me reach that success. There's a lot of points to it, but in general, that has to be the starting point for a sales leader. So
it sounds like you're saying start with your vision of what that team would be like and what they would be doing and what the goals are that you have for the team and the organization. Then try to find people to fill those spots.
Sure.
Rather than trying to find, a rock star, a salesperson in isolation.
Yes.
Because then you end up having a team of 5 or 10 lone wolves that can't play nicely together.
It's like you're always looking at who scored the goal. You can't hire 10 strikers.
Right.
You need defenders, you need midfielders, you need wingers.
Ooh, that's perfect. I love that metaphor. That's awesome, Yen. Okay, cool. So, how can people find out more about you? How can they reach out to you? And maybe if they're interested in getting a job here at Spotify.
Time for my little plug.
Here we go.
So, within Spotify, the advertising portion, you can find out a lot more and get inspired through 2 websites, Spotify for Brands and Spotify for Creatives. So Spotify for Brands talks about our data and what our platform does and what kind of audience we reach out. And Spotify for Creative just inspires you with award-winning case studies.
I love that. And if they're interested in working here, can they hop onto SpotifyJobs.com?
Exactly, SpotifyJobs.com.
Okay, cool. That was the plug, and I hope I get a little trailing commission for that. Huh?
And choose the location, obviously, when you go to SpotifyJobs.com. Because perhaps you're not looking to work in Singapore, you're looking to work in maybe Indonesia, or you're looking to work in the States or UK.
Cool.
We are an equal opportunity employer.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Yen. Pleasure to talk to you as always, man. Cool. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.